Tired of showing up to those networking events or cocktail parties because your brain has already decided it's going to be a drag? Being asked the same dumb questions and exchanging fake smiles? Well, I'm not going to make you dig to the bottom to get the nugget of gold. If you want to be the most interesting person in the room, watch this video to the end, because it starts and ends with this. To be interesting, be interested. Curiosity, they say, is sexy. Why? Because curious people go out and discover. They have adventures and stories worth sharing. Think back to the most interesting people you've met. Most times, these people are not often characterized by having done a lot of things, spread across a wide breadth of fields, but they compulsively chase new stimuli, and in the process, they become unavoidably interesting. Several studies suggest that curious people have better relationships, connect better, and enjoy socializing more. Other people are more easily attracted and feel socially closer to individuals that display curiosity. Psychologist Todd Kashdan of George Mason University and author of Curious states in The Greater Good that being interested is more important in cultivating a relationship and maintaining a relationship than being interesting. That's what gets the dialogue going. It's the secret juice of relationships. Want to be interesting? Get interested in interesting things. Be a good listener. In an attempt to build rapport, people mistake asking a ton of questions with showing interest. And oftentimes we find ourselves in the trap of just waiting for the next available opportunity to ask a follow-up question. For surely if I can keep you talking, the more you'll like me, right? No. That is a deadly conversational sin, almost on par with hogging the entire conversation talking about yourself. Nobody needs to tell you why that's a bad idea, right? We all understand hogging conversations with your credentials doesn't make you interesting. It makes you unbearable and stressful. So what's the path out of this horrid conversational forest? Here's the trick. Ask your question, wait for the answer, and then follow it up with a statement. Preferably a statement referring back to your personal experiences. Upon reaching the end of your statement, you can loop it back into a question, or just leave the statement open-ended and allow the other person to take the initiative. Once more, here's the pattern. Ask a question, actively listen, respond with statement, rinse and repeat. This pattern is the entire key to engaging with another person, and when executed correctly, the conversation is infinitely more engaging for both parties, as there is an equal trade of information occurring. Remember, whether it's you or them, there is nothing worse than one person dominating an entire conversation, because the person speaking the most is not, by default, the most interesting. So don't make the mistake of thinking you need to talk more. In fact, as a general rule, it's a good idea to talk less, listen more. By doing so, you can guide the conversation in interesting directions. Stop asking uninteresting questions. Being interesting is about being interested in other people's interesting lives, and not asking dumb questions that won't elevate the conversation beyond the dreaded small talk. It means avoiding boring questions like, "What do you do?" or "How are you?" when you don't mean it. Also steer clear of the weather and discussing your favorite reality TV show. You don't learn anything by asking boring and predictable questions, and unknowingly make the other person less interesting than he or she truly is. To counter the effects of a boring conversation from the get-go, be the more interesting person by asking questions like, "What's the weirdest thing you've ever eaten? What's on your bucket list?" Ask a follow-up question about how you can help them accomplish it. What new skill are you learning? What's your personality type? What's your calling or purpose in life? By taking the initiative and making the conversation about the other person, this selfless act of shining the spotlight on someone else first gives you the edge, making you the most interesting person in the room. Be generous. If you're genuinely generous, you trigger the psychological response of reciprocity. You don't even have to be extravagantly generous. Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences found that very simple reciprocal activity, like engaging in conversation, triggered altruism in young children. The same is projected to be true for adults, according to the research. So this means that if you're simply generous with your time and attention, you might find your generosity comes back to you. People will be more interested in and will pay attention to you in turn. How to be generous? Say yes often. If you have particular expertise, offer your insight or services without the expectation of payback. Participate productively in industry groups online. Be helpful, and your good deeds will be reciprocated. Don't forget charisma. It's not all about the words. Some people are engaging, but if what they said was transcribed, it would be unimpressive. Study shows that all of the information conveyed to another person when we say something emotional, not informational, only 7% is contained in the actual meaning of the words we use. Voice tone and body language are far more important. So laugh, smile, be passionate, gesture, modulate your voice. Don't just sweat the words. Now that you have the answer, let's bring it up to a full circle by re-emphasizing the point we started with. To be interesting, be interested. Remember, this extends beyond the person standing across from you, but also to your own life and the pursuit of interesting experiences. So go out and explore, see the world, experience a myriad of interesting moments. Then come back ready to share. But remember that no matter how many bulls you chased in Pamplona, to the person standing across from you, you are, at best, only the second most interesting person in the world. And you know what? That's okay. Go into the conversation agreeing with that person. Let the conversational tide whisk you away, and I bet you'll walk away from it having had a better time for it. And if at the end of the day, the other person enjoys the conversation as much as you do, then guess what? For that brief moment in time, to that single person, you were the most interesting person in the room. And that's it on the list. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up, share, and hit the red button below this video to subscribe, and we will be back with more interesting videos.